You're listening to Technically PvP, a podcast about player versus player in the World of Warcraft.
For the glory of Stormwind! Victory or death!
It's January the 22nd, 2019, and you're listening to Technically PvP, a podcast where we analyze the various aspects of player versus player in the game, World of Warcraft. Hey, I'm Jarazar, a PvP apprentice, and on behalf of Andalin and Winstead, welcome to the show. Unfortunately, Winstead will not be joining us tonight, but that's okay, because we get to welcome Ssds as our guest tonight. Hey, dude.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm awesome. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good myself.
Excellent. Hey, so we've conversed back and forth a bit. I mean, you're kind of well known in the PvP scene, but just in case, I don't know, some of our listeners don't really know who you are, do you want to pimp your stuff a little bit?
All right, so I play mainly the main class I play in PvP right now is Hunter. I'm a main survival hunter. I've been rank 1 in it about 10 times, been Gladiator other seasons, and I try to multi-class as much as I can. I've gone rank 1 on DK and several Gladiators on Shaman, Paladin, and Rogue.
Wow. That's okay, cool.
He's almost qualified.
Almost. I'm not sure. You think we got the right one, Andalin?
Yeah, I don't even care at this point.
Tell me how you really feel. Come on. All right. Well, hey, awesome. Welcome to the show there, SSDS. Really looking forward to our conversation later on where we're going to cover Cupid Cleave. But before we quite get there, I'd really like to know what everybody's been up to since the last 2 weeks since our last show. So how about Andalin? How about you first, man?
Oh, man. Dude, you picked a tough one to start out with because, man, I've been in the process of moving. I've been moving back home to Tennessee, and so that went really smooth. Can't complain one bit. Other than that, though, we've been doing really well. We just started our King of the Hollow with backup yesterday night with Resurgent, and we started season 2, which was very exciting because we're still allowing people to come in, hashtag solo queue. So we had plenty of about 8 solo queuers, a couple teams come in, and it was great. We had a really nice, really awesome games going on, and we also just announced a standings for season 2. So yeah, that's right. On our website, we'll be tracking the standings at resurgentesb.com.
Awesome.
And you can actually climb the ladder for Kings of the Hollow. So the standings are out from week 1, and they'll be continuing on all throughout season 2. So
awesome. So that's really awesome, buddy. I didn't know you guys had gone so far as to actually start that, which is I think that's
we
great.
Might be pairing that up with the Liquipedia as we kind of get more experience, kind of putting that together and whatnot. So.
Well, I have some experience with that, so I could probably help you.
That'd be fun. I think you'd enjoy it.
I think so. That's awesome. So obviously you've been busy running the esports side and packing and moving in that. I'm assuming you just haven't had any time to actually play then.
No, I was actually joking with a friend of mine who I do research and stuff with. The other what was it, like a week or 2 weeks ago, and I was like, man. I haven't even played since before BlizzCon. Like, I haven't just played the game. And he was like, yeah, you haven't. Let's just go play an RPG. So between now and November, I think I've played maybe 6 arena matches and 2 RPGs. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, I've just been doing so many of these other things. I just haven't been able to play. But I mean, it's not like I'm upset about it either. Like, I feel like I've still been enjoying the game. Like,
okay,
more so than some people who are actually like playing, which is kind of funny. But I'm not going to try to bring up that sore subject.
I appreciate. All right. Well, how about SSDS? What have you been up to those last couple weeks?
Last couple of weeks, I've just been handling end of season pushes for titles and such like that, and I've been actually looking to finalize my team for the upcoming Arena World Championship Cups. So that's pretty much what I've been doing the past 2 weeks or so.
Awesome. So you are going to compete then?
Yep, we already have a solid roster. It's going to be me, Born Good, and Cyfoxy, and we're currently looking to a couple fourths for our team.
Mm.
Oh wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I heard Cy Foxy had moved on from, because he used to play with
the Dill.
with Dylan. Yeah,
Yeah,
so that's awesome.
yeah. He
So
left.
what's our team name?
Our team name is Foxos Banditos.
Nice.
As a funny way of saying the Fox is bandits. It's like,
Yes,
nice funny way of saying it.
I like it.
That's funny.
We
I love it.
were honestly debating becoming the Sneaky Snakes again, but I wanted to do a different team name
change it
this
up a little
time. Didn't want to just be the same boring team, so we
Well, I will
found
wish
that
you
one.
best of luck against the Resurgent ESB team that will be competing as well.
Oh, I'll be
Dun,
eager to see how they do.
Yes,
Indeed. I have to admit,
mercy
though,
on them is what I mean. So yeah,
I was
that'll
gonna
be
say, I have to
exciting.
admit, Sneaky Snakes was a very awesome team, though. Like you guys rocked it pretty good.
Yeah,
Because
I have a few regrets from that team, but we did pretty well for how well people expected us to do.
Mhm.
yeah, well,
Because we were the 10th seed going into the regionals, and so no one expected us to do anything. Because we'd only gone one second place finish of all the cups, and there was a lot of cups that year.
Mhm.
mm-hmm. And actually, we'll get into that, but there's even more cups this year.
Oh, yeah, there is.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So as for me, I've been logging in regularly, mostly just doing auction house stuff because, well, you know, with the new season and the new raids showing up, there's a whole bunch of stuff that was moving on the auction house. So I was trying to make a bunch of gold so I can keep playing for free because I am a cheap guy like that.
Yep.
That's okay. Let's see what else I did. I hopped in. I did some brawls. I was trying to do the War Song Scramble there, and I have to admit, playing on the Alliance side, we were having a struggle. Like, every time I went in there, it was a struggle to either we were unable to kill the enemy flag carriers, or we just weren't able to get our own flags through their teams. It was just insane. It was a little frustrating. I have to admit, there was one time we came right out of the gate, and there was a guy that got ahead of everybody, and he hit he nailed every single cube for the random extra ability you get from our graveyard to the flag carrier to the flag room, and so nobody else was able to get any extra abilities. It was kind of annoying. But yeah, other than that, did that, and I was basically just hitting a bunch of Twitch streams. I wasn't really actually playing a lot of PvP. I was watching just other people and interacting with people, so that was fun. So yeah. All right, well, let's go into what the upcoming events are.
Get in there and fight! Stop hiding!
All right, so you already kind of got ahead of us there, but as you mentioned, Andalin, the King of the Hollow is back. It started this week, and if anybody wants, there's a link in the show notes for that to the official Blizzard forums post where they list it, and in there, I believe, is also the timings, how to do it, what to expect, and your website, your Discord links, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. So, and that's Dark Pen's running that, right?
Well, we are all are.
Okay.
So yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I always see him streaming, so that's why I was thinking it was mostly him.
Yeah, so like we've been running the stream team, but the actual games will always be put on through our Resurgent channel. So yeah,
cool. All right. And as we just talked about, the Arena World Cup was announced, and the first two battle files are up for Spring Cup 1 EU and Spring Cup 2, or Spring Cup 1 NA. Sorry. So EU is going to be on the 8th of February. Essentially, and the NA is going to be on the 9th of February. So again, links are going to be in the show notes. If anybody is interested, highly recommend you go and sign up. NA right now has 14 teams registered, and EU has 19 teams registered. And that's not including the ones pending.
Yes, there's plenty
baby.
of pending. I'm sure plenty of people are waiting, like to sign up on purpose yet. So
Possibly, we'll see.
Hmm?
It could be. It looks like there's a couple where they're just waiting for a teammate or two. Like they almost have a team, but they don't have everybody.
oh
So,
yeah,
But yeah, I'm excited. Actually, I'm just looking at it. I see the move, which kind of hints at some of the news we have up ahead.
Mhm.
Super Wash, Never Lucky, Beta Males, Easy Money. Oh, and Kitchen Cleave. I think that should be that's Anna. That's Dylan's.
That's correct.
Yeah, Dylan's girlfriend. That's awesome.
Mhm.
I can't wait. She's been driving really hard to make an an all female PvP friendly place to PvP, for Arena World Cups and Arena players. So I think that's really awesome. The last piece and I threw this in PvP events, is the Keystone Masters. So have you guys seen this? What's popped up?
Yeah, we work closely with them as well.
Of course you do. SSDS, have you seen this?
No, I actually have not.
So the Keystone Masters is a group of people that got together, and they are running basically a community MDI. So Mythic Pluses. And there's a bunch of teams. They're doing a couple different formats. I think they're trying to find out what works best. But they're they call it Season 1 right now. And I think it's been weekly. They have set up teams under, I think one's Resurgent, if I'm not mistaken. Right, Evelyn?
Yes.
And a couple other teams. And they do essentially Mythic runs on the live servers. And yeah.
It's experimental, but it's also kind of like groundbreaking as well, because it's like, how do we actually do this? How can we do this better? And they've come a long way, And I think it's a lot of cool, especially if that's something that interests you. That's a great way to it's really cool when when your feedback is heard, because you can get feedback on the alpha for the next WoW expansion, and it's like, okay, yeah, you may bring in a certain point, but maybe you don't feel like your feedback's heard, but in a scenario that's more like that, where it's so much more of a grassroots type of thing, you have so much more of an impact. So I don't know, for some people that's really interesting. For some people they're like, meh, but
Yep. I'm really interested because I remember we were talking about that at BlizzCon, and how hard it is to do it in live because you have no control over keystones.
The keys you get.
Yeah, you have no control over the affixes. It's all kind of just go for it and see what happens. So I think it's cool that it's working out. It looks like it's working out, which is awesome. And yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on it. So maybe we'll talk about it again next week, or 2 weeks from now.
yeah, right.
All right. Well, that pretty much covers the news. So why don't we get into why we're really here, and that's to talk to SSDS.
I'm gonna light you up, sweet cheeks.
All right. So, Cupid Cleave. The reason why this is now, is it because the Paladin wings and you have the Hunter with the bow and arrow?
Yeah. So it was Paladin because when the comp was when I first started hearing it called Cupid, it was when Ret Hunter Priest was the main staple of it. It was the bread and butter. And so it was like Priest wings, Paladin wings, and then the Hunter with his bow. And I think that's how it got its name.
That's funny. I love it. I love
the creativity on those names.
It kills me because now we have some where it's just like Boomkin Demon Hunter. It's like, really?
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
See, I actually personally like the descriptors of that. I call it Ret Hunter. I always will call it Ret Hunter just because it's easier.
Yeah. See, but we've been calling Boomkin Demon Hunter Ssds Last Chance Cleave.
That's
See, I like the team names of Jungle Cleave is a good one, nice simple one where it gets but then there's some people who come up that, Walking Dead Cleave, Woodwalker.
That's
DK
funny.
Cleave. It just seems easier.
Yeah.
Don't
I
get me
was
wrong.
always
Like,
a fan of the Mongolian earthworm cleave.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that one, but I thought I'll yeah, that one I'm not. That one doesn't really make sense to me.
No, I don't think so.
I don't even know what that. See, and that's the part I get is as somebody who's
Yeah.
novice. These names you don't know what they are. You have to go and
Yeah,
find someplace somewhere where somebody's written them down, which is
yeah. I remember this was early. This was probably Mr. Pandara and Wad, but people would ask me, "Am I like is like Beast Cleave good, Feral Hunter?" Because that's like their instant is like Beast Cleave. So there's even with the simple
Mhm.
ones, there's still confusion.
I can see that. So obviously Red Hunter really strong in BFA. Sorry, I think I just screwed up what I was saying there. Obviously, so Ret Paladin is really strong in BFA. Hunter very strong in BFA. Now, I guess the real question is does the spec of the Hunter matter? Does it have to be survival or can it be BM? Can it be?
I mean, the spec of Hunter doesn't matter, but you still would want to go with the best one. Like BM and Marksman Hunter can work, but with Survival Hunter, it does more consistent damage. It can get CC on its own more reliably, and it's the tankiest of it. So it's just
Mhm.
better to play Survival because you're less susceptible. You're not you if you play like BM or Survival Marksman, you're giving your team a way to lose. You're giving the other
Yeah.
team an easy. Like if you play Marksman, Marksman's very easy to kill. You're giving a team like that's an easy way to win.
Okay.
So it's like Survival is just like it's the safest bet because it's the best one out of all three. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
makes it harder for you to lose.
I understand.
That's a
And
good
that makes
thing.
sense. Yeah, you want to pick if you have a choice between three, you want to pick the best of the best, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but
Now, I guess you could argue that if you're not going to go to I don't know MMR 3K or something like that, you can just play whatever you want and be happy with where you get kind of thing. But if you
Yeah.
really want to push numbers, then that's where that really matters, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So are you going to say something there, Andolin?
No.
I thought. No. Okay. Sorry, I
Nope.
thought I heard you. Okay. So Ret and probably Survival Hunter. Now heals. Does it have to be a priest? And I'm assuming disc then, or can it be like shaman?
In this expansion, it's been more priest because priest is far more offensive. It brings damage. It has an extra
Exactly.
CC.
The Dark
it
Arc.
has Dark
Mhm.
Archangel. It can rotate through cooldowns much easier because it has things like Dome of Light, which is just a really strong 70% damage reduction. Rapture. It can heal through rot pretty well. But historically, like it can work with priest or shaman, even sometimes druid. But druid was
Oh.
a one-off kind of thing. It was just because druids were so strong healing-wise that you could
Mhm.
get away with it because they could just keep you so offensive.
Now,
But-
was I
Right,
just
that's
in
what
the
I was
rat
wondering.
leagues, or do you ever see it with monks?
I see. Actually, there was a time. It pretty much right now as it is with just any comp. It's really typically, for the most part, whatever the strongest healer is. Now there are
Mhm.
some times where synergies dictate, like prioritize strengths, but like Mistweaver, this like I could see Mistweaver working just because Mistweaver has such strong output, and then Way of the Crane being such a strong offensive ability. I could definitely see Mistweaver working.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, because I
That
remember
makes sense.
seeing that a fair amount, like when
Yeah.
monks were a little bit more on their high horse. So
Yeah. Just the major reason why you always see shamans or priests with hunter cleaves is because typically monks and like druids, they need their DPS to be a lot more supportive. Like other than like a freedom and a heal, they need like an actual hard CC, and hunter cleaves typically don't provide that. They typically are just stun trap. We don't have anything else. We heal you or we give you freedom. That's it. We don't do anything else for you. So
yeah,
it's typically
Okay.
what because like priests and
makes
shamans can
sense.
typically stand on their own and keep themselves alive and handle themselves. That's where Mistweavers and druids need some help because if you're playing a Mistweaver against a mage, you're just get bullied by that mage and there's nothing, or you're just getting tunneled by a Windwalker DK and we can't really help you.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, in a way that's surprising because Mistweaver, especially, like they have a fairly good toolkit, but I guess when you're just up against that much pressure, after you're done your few tricks, you're just going to crumble. So
Yeah,
Okay.
it's because we can't like against melee cleaves running a Mistweaver. We can't really slow them off you. We have like a Ret has a 30-second cooldown snare that's dispellable, and then a Ret survival snare costs a third of its focus bar, so it's not really spammable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So you
Plus
fight
you're-
something like Windwalker DK, they're just gonna tunnel your monk
Yeah.
for free.
What about double pally with a holy pally, and do like double hodge?
Actually, I ran that at the beginning of this expansion. Did not
Mhm.
feel bad at all because this was when melee wings wasn't nerfed in PvP. So you
Mhm.
also had a
Rip.
lot of damage coming out. It was doing really good. Actually, I was around 2,900 around the time when I was queuing it when like people were just hitting 3K and stuff. So it's definitely
Wow.
was good.
But now because melee wings got nerfed, it's not as good, I guess.
Yeah, melee wings got nerfed. And his paladins kind of shifted to more of like a dampening not dampening healer, but they're not as fast paced because they also lost one sacrifice, so you don't have
Mhm.
double ultimate sacrifice to play really aggressive.
Oh yeah.
And they
Okay.
have to cast a lot more.
All right. So I guess for this talk, let's obviously there's some options, there's some variations, but I guess we'll just talk disc priest, ret hunter, survival, and at least that way it makes it for a very easy conversation, and we're not going
Yeah.
all over the place on all the options.
Yeah, because
So-
it's also the most popular. Even when other
Yeah.
things are better, it's always the most popular version, that or shaman.
Okay, makes sense. All right, so I guess so. Obviously, then under damage, you have your ret. So he has a very consistent amount of damage plus some good burst. Same with the hunter, the survival hunter. What about like for support stuff? What are we talking like CCs and that? So you got your what's it, hand of judgment, the hodge
Hammer of Justice.
or hammer, a hammer of justice.
We have Hammer of Justice.
Yeah.
You have Intimidation, the Hunter's pet stun, and then you have Freezing Trap, and then with the Priest you have Psychic Scream, and sometimes Mind Control if he's able to get them off.
Okay. What about repentance from the pally?
In this expansion, kind of unlikely, just because like short cooldown Hammer of Justice is far more useful, and typically your hunter shouldn't have a problem getting freezing traps off, so there shouldn't be a need for repentance.
That DRs
Okay.
the traps too, doesn't it?
Yeah,
So,
DRs with traps. That's the major reason
Oh.
why. There could be a world where maybe every 30 seconds you rotate through Intimidation on the healer and Hammer of Justice on the healer, and you do this big CC chain with stun, trap, rep. But for the
Mhm.
most part, it's a lot better to actually be able to always have a stun for the kill target to get them in place so Yura has an easier time hitting them.
Okay,
Mhm.
makes sense. All right, so that's it sounds very similar to some of the other CC chains we've heard, where it's like, do this one, and then that sets it up for this one, and so
Yeah.
you're always going for these chains of.
Yeah.
Now, are you always? Now, we're going to get ahead of ourselves a bit on this, but are you always trying to CC chain the kill target and then off CC the healer, or do you just not care about that other healer and you're just like stunning a target so that you can just go ham on them?
So typically, the way I've played Ret Hunter, and it's quite different from how other Ret Hunters usually play. It started to catch on more back when we played with when we were Sneaky Snakes. Usually the combination is Hodge healer, trap him off, go to the main DPS, and then whatever. If you have if I had like a intimidation or what used to be binding shot stun, that's what we would do on the target, and then we'd usually sip a kick if there's an off target that's healing or casting polys.
Okay.
But so what we would do is we'd actually trap first. I would do my best to try to be able to trap on my own.
Mhm.
So that way we would have a hodge. So we could hodge the healer and we could either continue going the other target, or we could actually swap to the healer and force more defensive cooldowns because now both people are low and they have to
Wow.
recover through that.
Okay. I get now with the way we're doing wizard cleaves and a lot of melee cleaves, there's not that much of a concern of off heals, is there? Or is that still a major concern of having another healer, an off healer?
The only time that really you have to worry about kicking off heals is against Ret Paladins, actually. Ret Paladin healing right now is very strong because they take a talent called Selfless Healer that every time they spend Holy Power, their next flash of light is 25% faster and heals for 25% or heals for 10% more, stacking to 4 times. So they'll usually have this big instant cast heal, and then their flash of lights actually heal for a decent amount, and they can also give king. So it's really important to take flash of lights so you can actually get kills, because there are situations where if you don't have really major cooldowns, you actually can't kill through a Ret Paladin ceiling.
Wow. Okay. That's a good little tidbit to know. That's awesome. So, knowing that we're in BFA and Azerite traits are a big deal, what are the traits that we're going to be looking at? What traits would I be wanting to get if I wanted to run Ret Hunter?
Okay, so we'll talk about Ret first. So the most important trait to have, you at least need to have one of them because it's very important. It's called Light's Decree. So what it is when you have Avenging Wrath up, for every time you spend Holy Power, you just do this small burst of AoE damage. It hits for like 1,000, 2,000. But the second part of the trait is it also increases duration of wings by 5 seconds. Now, so it makes your wings last longer. Now, I'm not sure if it stacks. I don't think it does, like the duration stacks, but the damage does. Because with BFA, whenever they say like cooldown reduction or like extension of anything, it never stacks. It's it's not +1. It's make it 1 second longer. You know.
Okay.
So it's never like +5 seconds.
Yeah. So if I had two items with Light's Decree on it, I wouldn't get 10 seconds.
You would still only be 5.
Okay, but I would get double the damage.
You would get the double damage of the little AoE explosion you get. So that's the most important trait for Ret. There's other traits where every time you spend Holy Power, you have a chance to make your next Divine Storm free and do a little bit extra damage. That one's a pretty good one, just since if you hit someone with a Templar's Verdict, you get that proc, you just hit them for like a 10k Divine Storm right on top of it.
Oh my gosh.
And the one trait that used to be super popular that it's not as popular anymore is Avenger's Might. What Avenger's Might does is it increases your mastery by, now it was 600, now it's only 300. So what people were doing before was they were running 3 of them, so they would get an extra. It would literally bring your mastery from like 10-20% to 100, and then you would also have wings giving you damage increase. And then people were hitting like 50k non-crit execution senses and Templar's Verdicts and Wakes of Ashes. So even though it's nerfed by 50% now, it's still worth just running one, since it's still a little bit of a damage increase, but it's not worth triple stacking anymore like it was.
Okay, it makes sense. I mean, respond to the nerfs, but that's a hefty amount of mastery, and just how mastery works with Ret.
Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous. Well, I have some clips queuing with my good friend Avenge and fighting like Sam I Am and killing him from 50 to 0 in literally one button.
Oh my god! I feel like I ran into that probably in a BG once or twice.
Yeah, no, it was pretty ridiculous. I will admit it kind of got the best of me sometimes. I would get a little annoyed because I'd fight Ret Paladins that would hit me for 60k into 60k, and it's like, what do I do to stop that? It's like if I don't pre-defensive cooldown that, I just die in 2 seconds.
But how would you even know when to pre?
You just have, because so the way you know is since the global cooldown change, if they hit wings, so if they hit Avenging Wrath, or if they're playing Hammer of Reckoning, which is what happens is you get a stacking buff that every time someone attacks into one of your blessings, like your Blessing of Kings or Wisdom, you get a stacking buff, and when it gets to 50, you can hit Hammer of Reckoning that does like 10k damage, and then also gives you wings for 6 seconds, gives you Avenging Wrath for 6 seconds, or if you're Spectate Crusade for 12. So what Ret Paladins would do is they would they would pre-judgment, so their judgment holy damage buff is up, which increases all holy power spenders. They would pre-judgment, they would Hammer of Reckoning into Execution Sense into Wake of Ashes. So you would have to be very, very pay very close attention to see when they had wings up. And as like a hunter, I would have to play the Feign Death damage reduction talent. Whenever I Feign Death, I take 99% reduced damage for 2 seconds.
Okay.
So I'd have to pre-Feign Death the Execution Sense, or as soon as he landed the Execution Sense, I need to Feign Death so I could get the Wake of Ashes.
I would die every time, I'm sure.
It was very frustrating because like in a lot of scenarios you use Feign Death to like make people drop your target or like to avoid something like a cast on you. So it was hard to try to get into the mindset of I literally cannot use Feign Death until they hit this one button.
Wow. Andalin, you like to play Paladin, right?
Absolutely.
Is there any other traits that you can think of, or is there anything you want to add in on this?
Well, it's been a while since I'd played Ret, but like because I've been playing Holy so much and pretty much
that's right, yeah.
exclusively Holy since towards the middle of Legion. Honestly,
That's right. Sorry.
I'm still somewhat out of touch with Ret, so I've actually kind of been learning and been like, oh yeah, because I remember how some of their old abilities have it makes sense how they've morphed into these abilities though, and what they've kind of tried to do with Ret. I just remember I was playing the whole just build up holy power and spam what's it called, the AoE thing with, and then the artifact divine storm, yeah, exactly, and it would double it.
Spin the win.
Yep. I just call it lawnmowing.
That was some fun. I remember that.
Yeah, that was so much fun. So
you would also play Divine Hammer, and Divine Hammer would do ridiculous amounts of damage.
Oh yeah.
You actually couldn't lose the melee clears. I remember that.
That makes me kind of wonder. You're talking about AoE. Are you at all concerned about the damage coming off AoE to break any of the stuns, or is there no damage breaking of the stuns? Because I know like there's some stuns where if they take so much damage, it breaks automatically. They don't have to trinket.
The only stun I know that works like that right now is technically Mind Bomb, but Mind Bomb's a fear. I don't think there's any stuns that break on damage anymore that I can remember.
Okay.
Because I've 100-0'd people in Hodges and in Tim, so like I haven't really felt that or seen that. So I don't think stuns can break on damage anymore.
Okay, cool. I guess I'm just thinking of my experience with my Warlock and the Fears, right? So
yeah.
Which I guess So Mind Bomb, that would make sense because it's still in that same family.
Yeah.
Okay. So what about that's all the Ret stuff? Is there anything we specific for the Hunter or the Healer that we should be looking at for traits?
Right,
I mean, obviously we listened to a bunch of people.
Yeah. So the most important trait for survival to at least have one of, and only one of, is Wilderness Survival. So what it does is increase Mongoose Bite damage by about 300 or so, but it also, every time you Mongoose Bite, it reduces the cooldown of your Wildfire Bomb by 1 second. So, and Wildfire Bomb is one of your hardest hitting abilities you can do, other than Mongoose Bite being stacked up. So it just gets your bombs off cooldown faster, so you can throw more out and do ridiculous amounts of damage. And then for other traits, you have Laden Poison's a really good trait that every time your Serpent Sting does damage, or is applied when you have Serpent Sting up, it gives it a stacking buff that when your next Mongoose Bite will do an extra, a certain amount of poison, about 400 extra poison damage per stack. So you'll typically run 2 of those, and you can get like 10k, 20k hits with 10 stacks, which is really good if you're just kiting around to have it slowly ramp up and then come out, or if you're just running into somebody mashing Mongoose Bite, just a little extra hit every time.
Wow, cool. All right. So just those 2 then I guess nothing.
Like Battlefield Focus / Precision is also a really good trait. But for the most part, a lot of survival traits are very poor. Like one of them's like every time you Wildfire Bomb, it drops these small clusters that do next to no damage, and it just extra AoE to potentially break your trap. So for the most part, a lot of survival traits aren't that good. It's actually better to run free-for-all traits like Tidal Surge and stuff like that, just because it actually does more damage than the actual survival traits themselves.
Okay, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
It reminds me of because I've been playing some Hearthstone as well, and just they always have the few things that you really really want, and then there's like some throwaways that are just they're almost like traps to make you do something horrible or horribly wrong. And I saw that with a lot of the traits where you have like the 1 or 2 that are really good and you want to stack those, but then there's all these other ones that they're kind of neat in a niche way, but they in a way they'll actually hamper you from being able to do what you want to do.
Yeah, like there's like a trait like Blur of Talons. It's like okay, but it's definitely not one of your top 3 traits. Is during your major cooldown Coordinated Assault, every time you Mongoose Bite, you get a stacking agility buff to up to 5. You get like 164 agility stacking up to 5 times, which is okay. But like even in PvE, the only way that talent really works is if you play, or that trait works, is if you have the talent Birds of Prey, which attacking your pet's target with Mongoose Bite increases the duration of Coordinated Assault. But you don't really take that talent in PvP, so it's like it's an okay talent, but when you compare it to Wilderness Survival, Laden Poison, Battlefield Focus / Precision, it's just there's no real point to taking it.
Okay. I guess that would mean that that's actually more. It sounds more like a PVE talent than instead of a
Yeah, it's
PvP
definitely
or
more of a
trait.
PV talent. With
Okay.
the new ring of traits coming in, I definitely will probably just run one, just because I have the option to, since you can't stack more than 3 laden poisons. So at some
Okay.
point, I'm gonna have to take a Blur of Talons if there's no other good traits I can take.
Well, and you're kind of forcing me to get ahead of myself, but there is the fifth ring that's coming in 8-1. Is it 815? Or
No,
is it
no,
no?
the fifth ring's already in.
Yeah, it's
It
live,
came,
right? So
yeah, it came out today.
so that's going to bring in a whole other set of traits, which is going to
Yeah.
force you to.
Yeah,
Well,
it's good
yeah.
for some classes. Survival Hunter, sadly, is one of those classes where all it really allows us to do is get like one more lane poison. It doesn't really allow us to have more fun and interesting traits. Like for Ret, it's gonna be fun because you could get like 2 Avengers Mights, 2 Lights Decrees,
Oh
or like 3
wow.
Avengers Might, 2 Light Decrees. Like there's like combinations you can do that are really ridiculous. And then for
Okay.
Disc Priest, well, we can talk about Disc Priest traits, which is the 2
Yes.
major traits you want, which is you're going to have 2 sets of traits for Disc. You're either going to have one full set of Depth of Shadows, which is every time your Purge of Wicked does damage, it increases the healing of your Shadow Mend by a certain amount, stacking up to 30 times. And when you have
Mhm.
a full 30 stack running 3 of them, your Shadow Mends will heal for easily 90k non-crits.
Holy.
So like
Almost
again,
score there. Wow.
It's, so against comps where you can afford to like take your time and there's not really rush down and you can afford
That's
to get
dirty.
Shaman's off,
Mhm.
you just play that trait, you just get your Purge of Wickedness on every target you can, then you just hit the big Shadow Men that can top someone from 10 to 100%, and you're just
Wow.
chilling, having fun. And the
But
other set you will.
that's actually really good for Disc though, because Disc has always inherently not been a great healer. Like they're
Like
great
throughput.
damage avoidment. Yeah, they're damage avoidment through the shields and that. But
Yeah.
when push came to shove, their heals were weak, so that at least makes that really good,
Yeah.
right?
And then the other trait set you run is just 3 Enduring Luminescences, which just makes your ultimate Radiance heal for more. So when you're running the talent, I can't remember the name of the talent off the top of my head, but it's the one that makes Radiance a instant cast and heal for 200%. Or I think it's just an instant cast.
Trinity?
No, it's the one that not the one that makes your Atonement heal more, but makes your
Oh.
Radiance instant cast.
Oh, I know.
So when
Some
you
are,
run
okay.
that, you hit like 40, 50k ultimate radiances, which is a lot less mana efficient, but it's nice burst AoE healing through
Mhm.
like those really aggressive cleaves. Like if you're trying to heal through jungle, just a quick radiance after you get out of the trap to heal yourself back up. So it's
Okay.
pretty much it. You either run triple Death Shadows or triple Ultimate Radiance with Hunter Cleaves, especially with Ret Hunter.
Oops. Okay. Sorry, hold on. I'm trying to write these down. I'm writing them down wrong.
Yeah.
Sorry. That was Ultimate Radiance. All right.
Oh, that's right. The talent is called Ultimate Radiance. The ability is called Power Word Radiance. That's what it is. I'm just so
Ah.
used to calling it Ultimate Radiance because that's what it is in PvP. Is the talent. That's right.
Okay. Cool. All right.
So with the new trait ring, it's going to let you maybe have like this combination of 2 Ultimate Radiances and 3 Depths of Shadows, and like let you like have a mixture of both, so you're not stuck of like I either use this set or this set.
Oh, sorry. I didn't see that. I'm blind. They added in a ring with a trait on it or something.
Yeah, the fifth, yeah, the new ring. So it has 2.
Yeah.
So you have
Oh, the fifth. Oh, sorry. I thought you actually meant like a finger, like a ring. Like
oh no,
Oh.
like on the trait. Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I just want to dial it back for a second, just talk about that. So I was in the impression, and again, I haven't been data diving at all, but I was under the impression that that fifth ring that they've added to the Azurite items, I thought they were going to make or add more traits,
So
but they didn't.
so what ended up being is we got the new traits that are coming with the patch, which every spec got one new trait. All it did was replace essentially your worst performing trait, and we got that when 8.1 launched. So that
Oh boy.
like the Light's Decree was a new trait that Ret got,
Mm-hmm.
and it replaced one of their lower performing traits no
Okay.
one used. So we had already gotten those traits in, and then all the other new traits are just the ones from the raid that are the new free for all traits that like any spec can use.
Okay.
So it's pretty much a mixture of like the traits we already had, and then one new trait we had, and then it's just like all of that new combinations.
Okay. I'm really interested to see what happens once people actually take all that, sim it out, and get the final numbers, because
Yeah.
it'll be interesting. All right. One last question before we get into strategies. But do racials actually matter with this comp?
Yes, kind of. And it's not the only racials that matter, and this is I'm going to talk a little bit more about Red Hunter Shaman here, is it pretty much depends what healer are you playing with. Are you playing with a priest? You want to be Alliance, because human racial is insanely good for priest. Like Will the Forsaken on Horde can be good, but push comes to shove, every man for himself is the best racial because it allows your priest to play Relentless a majority of the games and not get punished. So it's
Nice.
just
Okay.
hands down, humans the best way to go. Now, if you're playing with a shaman, Horde's the best, because then the shaman just gets to play Orc, and then stuns don't matter to it. So it's pretty much what healer are you playing with. If you're playing with a priest, you want to be Alliance. If you're playing with a shaman, you want to be Horde.
Okay. Or I guess the flip side of it, if you're Horde, you want that healer. Yeah. Okay.
You can still play with a priest on Horde. It's not the worst thing in the world, but like, if you're really trying to min max, there's no point of not being Alliance. Like Horde can work because Will the Forsaken, especially in this new meta with Warlocks and Shadow Priests being so prominent as they are,
Mhm.
having Will isn't actually that bad of a button to have anymore. And so, and with the every man for himself nerf, it's not like human isn't that much oppressive. It's not like Legion where if you aren't human, you're just essentially throwing games.
You're doing it wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
It's so true.
I also
Literally
actually will
throwing if
make
you're not
one.
human.
I will make one note for Alliance is that Dark Iron is sleeper really good, especially into certain dot comps. Is a very strong racial to have, because what Dark Iron does is when you use it, it works like Stone Form, but instead of making you take less damage, you get a baseline 600 primary stat, and then for every single debuff you move to a cap of I think 60 buffs, you get an extra 200 main stat. So you can, during your Dark Iron racial, get like 1800 agility or strength, and you could pop that, like say you're in jungle and you get all the dots off, and then you pop your Hammer of Reckoning, your Avenging Wrath, and you just start crushing them. Like Dark Iron's really, really strong. So that's another reason to be Alliance, even if you have a Shaman, because Dark Iron is just really good.
Okay.
And also Gift of the Naru is not super strong, but Gift of the Naru, when you use it, effectively pauses your health unless it's during their major cooldowns. Because even if they're doing a lot of damage, it's doing so much healing that essentially your health's not moving because it's just counteracting how much damage they're doing.
So what about just kind of spitballing here and looking ahead? What about the two new races that they're talking about in the PTR there? There's the is it oh shoot.
Zandalari Troll and Kultiran Human.
Yeah, thank you.
Um,
So I saw the now I know they're still talking about numbers for the Zandalari Troll, but it's essentially Forsaken or the undead ability, but without but without the downsides.
But it does get stopped as soon as you take damage, though.
Oh, okay.
So it would only be good for Paladin because you could bubble when you're low and top yourself in it. But I look at them and I just like they like the passives look good, like the baseline versatility for Kultiran Human.
Right.
Like the fact that Zandalari Trolls can get like a little extra bonus based on what they're doing. Like they can heal for a little bit more, they can do a little bit more damage. But when I look at the on-use racials for both of them, I may be a little skeptical and underestimating them. They just, to me, do not seem that impressive. Like, let's look at Kultiran Human. It's a 2-minute cooldown, 3-second stun that when you do it does a pretty decent knockback.
Yep.
Now, if we look at the terms of a hunter, why do I want another stun? Because all that does is if I do it to the healer off a Hodge, it just essentially delays my go an extra second because the DR comes up a second later. And if I do it on the kill target, yeah, I'm stunning him, but I'm also then knocking him away from him, and then I'm also stunning the intimidation on him, like DRing the intimidation.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So like the best way I see Coltern being used at that point is just using it on the off person, just as a little CC in case they're like one of those healers or they're one of those like mages or warlocks spamming polymorph and fear. But I just look at it and just like it doesn't impress me. The knock would have to be pretty substantial. Like the way there's also another way is like off a trap, you Coltern them off the edge of like Blade's Edge away. But it's just like
yeah. But
that's
that's just to one map. Like there's so many other maps to go with. Like that's
like so like it doesn't impress me an insane amount.
Yeah.
And then I look at Zandalari, it's like, well, the racial gets stopped on 1 point of damage, so instantly it's not good for Hunter or Priest.
Yeah, that's true.
Because the only way I can make it work on Hunter is if I had no dots during my turtle.
Mm-hmm.
And then Priest just can't ever get it to work.
Yeah.
And then
you could look on a Priest not taking damage.
Yeah, and then like
I see that. I see the good point though is using it as a pally like bubble and then ability
top me yourself.
Yeah,
it'll be strong for like holy paladins as well because then it's like bubble heal myself in it instead of having to sit there bomb heals that potentially don't crit and I don't end up healing the top myself. It's a guarantee way of like I get out of this bubble and I'm at 100%, so it's not like they can't just keep training me.
Not just that. Now you're not using any mana while doing it. Now you're regenerating the mana too.
I think Zandalari Troll would be better if it had more flexibility. Like it healed me free through 100%, or it healed someone else for like 20%. But then it's more like Gift to the Naru, and that's not really like creative. Just to have another ability like that.
Well, I think they have to be very careful with just how much the Zandalari Troll is so close to the undead, but yet it's that little bit better where. Just between cooldown and amount, it's If they want to do that same kind of thing, I think they're going to either have to tone it down and bring it back down to undead level, or take undeads and buff it.
See, when I first saw Zandalari Troll, I thought it was like Gift of the Naru, but it could only be using yourself, and the benefit was it was a shorter cooldown, healed for a little bit more. Because when I first read it, it looked like it heals you for 25% of your health over 4 seconds. So I'm like, oh, it's just a better Draenei racial, but it's only on yourself. But I was like, oh, it's just a channel on yourself. It's like, and everyone's like, that's so OP. You can just top yourself. It's like, but there's no way that either that's extremely nerfed in PvP or there's some gimmick to it.
Right.
There's no way that stays.
Yeah.
Because then everyone's just going to be Zandalari Troll.
Oh, yeah,
There's no point not to.
The initial when it was first put out, where it wasn't going to break on movement, wasn't going to break on damage, and it was like, no, that was too broken.
That doesn't make it. There's no way. Like, there's no reasonable way Blizzard is going to look at that and like, that's fine for PvP, ship it out.
Right? All right. I love this. I love this conversation. But I need to move the conversation a little bit forward. Andalin, this is more your bread and butter because I know you actually PvP more than I do. Maybe not the last 2 months, but you do more than I do. Can you take on the conversation about strategies? Because I know you're going to be able to do this.
Yeah, for sure.
Otherwise.
Yeah, so kind of moving in towards that, like, so let's say, you know, in kind of some of the discussions that we've had in the past, it's been a big thing about like with strategy. Well, it kind of depends on what you queue into. So, you know, without trying to get into that specific and just staying general, what's your strategy going in? You know, as the hunter or maybe as the team from your perspective.
I'll give you the baseline Ret Hunter strategy. This is probably the most simplest way I can put it. You pick a target, you look at him, and you walk at him the entire game. You never let go of your W key, and you're constantly walking at that person, and you're just trading out defensive cooldowns. Because Ret Hunter is not really a longevity comp, so you want to win as fast as you can, and the fastest way you win is by never letting go of your W key and constantly walking at them and just doing damage. So it's pretty much what it is. Find who you want to kill, walk at them, and then trap. If you're rocking at a DPS, just set up your Hodge traps or your trap Hodges onto the healer. And if it's running at a healer, make sure you just constantly get your Hodges full off DR, and you just constantly just trap whoever is gonna make you less likely to kill the healer.
Mm-hmm. So kind of like when we were talking about earlier, you know, about how some of the different healers needing some of the defensive CC, and you know, your hunter not really being able to do that. So like, is there any time as the hunter where you're finding yourself trapping someone other than the healer per se?
Other than running at healers, typically no, because Ret Hunter, it relies so heavily on trap as your major CC. Like, you can throw away Hodge sometimes, but you can't really throw away trap. It's 2 seconds longer, and it's a lot stronger of a CC. So I typically try, like, I will throw traps if it's like we're on the brink of losing, like we need to just live a little bit longer for us to get cooldowns back. But for the most part, I typically will always put my trap on the healer or on the most important DPS while we're running out of healer.
Okay. So let's say we're queuing into something a little bit more like does this strategy, how does this strategy change if we're looking face to face with a wizard cleave versus a melee cleave?
So with wizard cleaves, typically what we used to do in Legion, and it can still be used to BFA an extent, is that we would do hidden go tactics. So this is the only time you'll ever go for a longevity game, is that you would run in, pop all your cooldowns, try to do as much damage as you can in a hot trap. If you don't, you walk away. You go behind the pillar. You either make them overextend, or you just get all your cooldowns back and try it again. Because against wizard cleaves, you'll end up getting bullied by CC so much that you won't ever really get kills in your hot traps without cooldowns. But it also depends on the wizard cleaves. If it's like Shadow Priest lock, you really don't care because like the Destro lock isn't enough. But if it's like Mage lock, you have to care because if it's a Frost Mage, you can't really hit it. So you're defaulted to going to the Destro lock, and then it's like Mage just controls you and you can't really do anything. So it depends on the wizard cleave, but for the most part, you'll just try to do hidden go tactics. And then if it's melee cleave, you just pedal to the metal because you at the end of the day, toe to toe, if you guys are just hitting your buttons, just doing the same amount of damage and doing whatever CC you have, you will always have more CC than the other melee cleave, and you have more defensive cooldowns than any other melee cleave. So you will just be able to headbutt. You'll just be able to just run through anything they do.
Crazy. It's alright. I'm just like, I'm listening to them like, holy. So, I mean, aside from having to change up tactics occasionally, you can pretty much just bully through anything.
Yeah, you really can. There's a lot of situations that I think hunters don't. Just even hunter players in general just don't quite understand. Is how aggressive hunters really can be and how aggressive hunter can really be. Like I remember back in Legion, when we formed the Sneaky Snakes and we were playing a lot, we played so aggressively. Like none of our games lasted more than 3 minutes, and it was in Cruel season, the 3rd season of Legion, and we were like rank 1 ladder because we just like no one could beat us because we played so aggressively. It got to the point where when it was prime time, we were sitting 14-minute queues because we were just 200 rating above everybody else, and there was just no one to fight.
Because your queue sessions are so much faster.
Yeah, and then it would actually get to the point, because this is when you had to do the 10 wins to cap, we would actually snipe people, not for rating, just so we could cap. Because we just couldn't get other people.
Wow.
So, like, Ret Hunter is really aggressive, and I think that's one thing. Like, there's certain Ret Hunters that take advantage of really well, and there's some Ret Hunters that play a little too slow. I feel like if you should try pedal to the metal, always walking at somebody, always trying to do damage until you hit a wall, until you realize that's not working, and that's when you start trying to look at maybe we do the hidden goes, maybe we start going at healers, maybe we like instead of Hodge trapping, we trap Hodge because maybe we're fighting, I don't know, a Windwalker, and we get the trap, and at the end of the trap, the Windwalker's away, but their healer is right here with no trinket. We hit the healer, and either he dies or we get a major defensive on the healer instead of on the Windwalker, and then the Windwalker is topped when he's back, and then we start hitting him again. So, for the most part, like your main strategy as a Ret Hunter, I would say is to pedal to the metal, whatever DPS you can find, trap, Hodge, whatever, and then once you hit the wall, that's when you should start looking at, all right, maybe we do hit and go, maybe we try even like doing swaps, like if we're fighting a Resto Druid, baiting hots on one guy for a go, and then swapping the other guy once we get our CC. So it really is like pedal to the metal all the way, then look at more complicated strats once you hit a wall.
All right, cool. I guess I didn't really hear us talk about it. We kind of talked a bunch of stuff there, but did we cover the actual like who counters what there, or is it just
It was kind of an indirect. I was.
Okay.
We could talk a little bit more about it. Which I think would be good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So the major things that counter Runt Hunter at the moment in this current patch, Frost Mages are extremely difficult because it essentially eliminates the Frost Mage. The Ret cannot kill a Frost Mage, and anyway, like a Hunter can, but a Ret just can't. It cannot get there fast enough. So Frost Mage comps are really difficult because it essentially eliminates a potential kill target. You're essentially down to either you run at the healer or you run at the other DPS. Frost Mage is not going to die.
Is that because
But-
of the slows and the blocks?
Yeah. You have the double shimmer, and then you have the 2 roots. You have the snares, and it's like you can freedom, but if you're playing with a priest, you don't have a lot of cover buffs for your freedoms.
Mhm.
So for the most part, what the Reds I play with do is they freedom and instantly cancel it, so the mage doesn't get it, making them harder to kill because then they have a freedom. So Frost Mages are really difficult. Ellie's can be really hard just because things like Lightning Lasso are very difficult, get you just stuck in the middle. And then Ellie's also have Ghost Wolf, so they can just walk around and like without being snared. And then the healer that counters Hunter the most right now, and it's not even just necessarily healer, but any healer that can play Orc and then run the talent adaptation. Because Orcs adaptations, whatever CC lasts over 5 seconds, you auto trinket, and stuns on Orcs cannot last over 5 seconds due to the racial. So it eliminates every other go. You don't have a trap unless you can somehow push in for fears.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's rough.
So then, like the real super hard counter is then to run Orc healer with Adapt, and you have a Demon Hunter for reverse magic. So then you essentially you'd have to run Diamond Ice then, which then not only limits you to only 1 trap every other go, limits your trap to only 5 seconds instead.
And then the Demon Hunters have the mana break, right? Which
Yeah,
also
which
then puts you on a soft timer.
The mana break doesn't matter as much due to Blessing of Wisdom. You kind of like it doesn't completely offset it, but it's not as bad as other healers and other comps that have it.
Okay.
Since Wisdom can actually restore a decent amount of mana over a game.
Cool. I had no idea. All right.
Yeah.
So that's the stuff that counters you guys. What do you guys counter then?
Pretty much any other Hunter Cleave, for the most part, Hunter should not lose to. There might be like Hunter Shadow Priest, but like if we're talking about like Hunter melee, there's not a single Hunter comp that will win.
Yeah, like KFC is just gonna get
KFC,
destroyed.
Bug Cleave, Jungle Cleave, Beast Cleave, you're all just gonna lose because the Ret has Sanctuary out of stuns and then just does so much damage, and they have such insanely strong defensives. Like say you're playing Jungle Cleave, and then your Hunter pops Coordinate Assault, and then it just Rapture, Shield of Vengeance, and then you pop Incarn, and they just Barrier with 70% damage reduction. All in the meanwhile, you're sitting there tanking it, and he's just popping Avenging Wrath, and you're popping your Coordinate Assault, and you're just killing him. Like, you can't do anything. Just Rets do the most damage out of any other melee in burst setups. So when you're in the Hunter scenarios, your traps are always more devastating. But so say both Hunter Cleaves land a trap at the same time, the Hunter is never going to want to run on the trap. The other team is always going to run away because they have to. They'll just die.
Well, yeah.
And then
I run away from a Red Hunter all the time too, but I mean that's just, yeah. Sorry.
I don't know if I necessarily count this, but I could count this maybe as a soft counter. I feel like Ret Hunter does really good into RMP.
Oh yeah.
Because if they're Frost, you run at the Assassination Rogue, and Assassination Rogues are super squishy. Just rogues in general are super squishy. And then if you fight a Fire Mages can't kite as easily, and you actually take a lot of damage. So it's like I feel like RMP is like a somewhat of a soft counter. Like you can still lose if you make mistakes, but for the most part, I feel like Ret Hunter should come out on top just because they do so much damage and their CC so much easier. And then they have Sank. You can also Blessing and Protection blind, so then your healers have to instantly trinket it. So you have a lot more flexibility. And other than that, it's
yeah. You
other
just
than
get
that,
out of the CC better. Yeah.
Yeah. And then other than that, you pretty much double melee cleaves for the most part. Like Turbo Cleave's pretty easy. TSG's easy. Like Windwalker DK is kind of hard just because DK's have the AMS, so it kind of really stops Ret damage. And then Windwalkers are really mobile. But for the most part, a lot of melee cleaves are just pretty easy.
So I'm going to try to take something and steer it a little bit different direction. So, we were talking a little bit last episode about RMP and some of the stuff, and seeing some similarities and seeing some dissimilarities. And so, like, how would you scale up, like, Ret Hunter, in the way of how long it would take someone who said, "Hey, I wanted to master, different arena comps." Um, what do you think as far as like actual skill ceiling? Like, how difficult is this, scaled up against other comps, in your opinion?
So to get good at the comp, we'll look at it through these different ways. We'll say get good, we'll get mastered, and then we'll
Okay.
put it at Sneaky Snakes level, because
Okay.
as the famous meme of what our healer said, which I still do believe, is that when we were playing Ret Hunter, we were the best, because just no one did what we did.
Mm-hmm.
So to get good at it, probably 2 weeks. It's really not a difficult comp, because if you really just break down the comp and its very essence is Hodge healer, trap healer off, kill whatever DPS you want.
Okay.
So it's very bare essence. The strategies you employ are not difficult. Now, to say
that's about 100 games, I guess. 2
yeah,
weeks?
like it wouldn't take long. It would take a month at most if you're already a good player and you're already kind of familiar with Hunter Cleaves, and then you're playing it. It's not going to take you that long. You're going to pick it up. The only problem you're going to have is knowing your class.
Okay.
That's actually the strength. That's like the hard part of learning a Hunter, is how do I play Ret? How do I play Hunter?
Mm-hmm.
You learn those,
Okay.
and then it's like, all right, cool. You have this Hodge ability. You hit it on that healer. I'll trap it off, and we'll kill this one guy. To master the comp, it'd probably take a couple months, just because then you have to start learning the intricacies of when do I run, when do I do the hidden ghost strat, when do I want to try to hit healers, when like rotating defensive cooldowns really well to the point where we can play the long game, even though our comp isn't really able to, like, just rotating defensive. So it's like that's probably 2 to 3 months of just learning that. So I think 2 weeks to get good at it, 3 months or so probably to master it.
Okay.
And then to get to the level that me and Avenge and Amity were on, I think that was just a perfect storm of Avenging has been playing Ret since Cataclysm. I've been playing Hunter since Mop, and Amity had been playing Priest since Warlords of Draenor, and he was really good at it. Like, we were all really good at it, and I think we just decided, let's not play Ret Hunter the conventional way. Let's throw in some weird strats. Let's walk at healers. Like I remember fighting Colo's team, Colo, Mez, Trill, Maldiva.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we would play against their DH Boomy Ardred, which was a really hard comp at the time. It was like one of the best comps. And we just said, every Hodge we're gonna hit Colo, and then we're gonna trap him, and we're gonna hit someone else, and we're just gonna AoE, and we're gonna essentially play like some weird, like, dampening comp that is just trying to do damage. That's all we did. We didn't do the Hodge trap, go run at one target. We trapped, we did damage, we would hit Hodge on healer and hit him, and then we would just Divine Storm, Sidewinders, Mark Shot, eventually win.
Wow.
And then we fought them at regionals, and we're like, all right, here we go. Here's we're running at the Warlock. Mez icebounded. Why don't we just swap to him and kill him? It's like, we knew when to swap. We swapped him. We killed him in one trap. Instantly blew up because he didn't have icebound. So it's just like,
oh wow.
so it's like that one. I think is just you have to be really good at all of you have to be really good at your class, and you've been playing the comp for a while. Because me and Evangeline have been playing since all of WoD, and the first 2 season Legions we played, and then we were already good together as is, and then Annie was just an easy fit into us, so that would take probably.
I think that sounds like it's not only being excellent at your one class, but also having the personality. Because we talked about that before, right, Andalin, where there's that personality that has to fit. So if all 3 people are aggressive, then it works really well. But if you're supposed to do an aggressive comp and one person's timid and not really and wants to be more defensive, then it doesn't work well, right?
Yeah, that's a synergy thing though,
Yeah.
more so than
Yeah,
a
that's
personality.
honestly the best way to put it. We were just three people that wanted to do the same exact thing. We wanted to
Mhm.
do the same exact strats, and if we ever had a difference of opinion, we'd bring it up. And we'd be like, all right, how do we want to play this matchup? We would try whatever one, and we would do that. But for the most part, yeah, we all wanted to be aggressive. Like
Mhm.
we would bubble offensively. We would trinket offensively. We would do things offensively. We would use defensive cooldowns offensively to do stuff. So that's a really good way of playing it. It was just it's like Vanguards and Yoski. You know, they've been playing Red Hunter for a
Yeah.
while, so they're really, really good because they've just been playing forever. So I think that's
Mhm.
when you get to that point of Red Hunter is when you've just been playing for a while.
Okay.
Because I've always noticed the difference between like Vanguard's Red Hunter and then like Evangelion Red Hunter to any other Red Hunter, and I think it's just because those two have been playing it for so long and are so good that no one's ever going to really catch up to them, because if they keep playing, they're just going to keep distancing themselves from other people and like skill wise.
Well, you
Mhm.
can say that even like if I look at watch the Olympics, I'm gonna go, wow,
Yeah,
I'm never gonna be able to do that.
yeah,
But I'm sure if I have been doing that same sport for that long, I
yeah,
would probably,
yeah.
okay. This is the one that I love to ask. How do we kill you?
Ooh. I mentioned a little bit earlier, but the most important thing, if you're CC comp, is to kick the Ret Paladin when he's bombing heals. If he's bombing
Mhm.
heals, just not both kicks, just one kick or one little minute CC to interrupt them, because
Okay.
they can heal through a lot of things really easily.
Yeah, you're saying that.
And then, if you're playing against Runner Priest and you're melee cleave, run at the Priest. You just don't really have another option. You have to just walk at the Priest.
Okay.
Priest, with the recent nerfs to Focused Will only being 10% damage reduction now, and just a lot of things, Priest being a coffee, they died a lot of melee cleaves. Like Windwalker DK can just kill through their cooldowns. So a lot of melee cleaves should try to aim at the healer and then maybe hit Ret if they're getting pushed back too much.
Okay.
So melee cleaves just walk at the healer. Hunter cleaves, go Hunter and hope for the best.
Yeah.
Run on the Hodge trap goes, and then just try to do as much damage as you can during your trap.
Okay.
Like, other than that, you can't do much.
I find that interesting because out of the three classes you're talking about, I would never think about running out of Ret. I would always think Priest or Hunter.
Yeah. Rets in certain situations can die.
Oh, yeah.
It really depends.
I haven't seen one.
Yeah. With melee cleat, like, the reason why Hunter is a lot harder to kill, because Hunters will just use mobility to get away from melee cleaves.
Yep.
So you can kite, and then you have the Ret bomb in the heal. So if you're a melee cleave and you're both chasing the Hunter, you can't kick the Ret. And then the Ret's also getting the easy sanks. Like, say you're playing Windwalker DK and you're incapping the Priest, sweeping the Hunter. Ret just instantly sinks whoever needs to get out of a stun. And then it's just bombing heals. It has the free globals to freedom other people, the bop other people, to do whatever. Whereas if you're going him, he's a lot more stressed with his globals, because say he makes the wrong global and he decides to bop himself instead of sinking his healer, boom, he dies. Because you have some sort of magic damage that kills him in that one global.
Okay.
So it depends, but pretty much melee cleaves will want to go, like Hunter cleaves will want to go Hunter, melee cleaves will want to go healer, and then caster cleaves, just bully the Ret. Don't let him do anything. Don't let him play the game. Make him scared. Don't let the Ret feel like he can play out, because while Rets can do really good in and out goes, if he can't get more than 4 or 5 globals off during his damage, you're not really scared of him. Because right now, if you hit back-to-back Templars Rigs, you play the talent that makes your Templars do 10% more damage like for 6 seconds after you Templars. So if they can just keep getting Templars and Templars and Templars, and eventually they'll have that 10% buff with their Judgment that makes it do like 40% more damage,
Yeah.
you're eventually going to hit a really hard Templars.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're playing like Frost Mage, Windwalker Druid, or like Frost Mage, Destralock Druid, you just sit there and you don't let him play the game ever. You don't ever let him get in the melee range, and you just make it really. You put him in these really awkward positions that he has to use mobility to get to you, and that when he gets to you, he's in such a bad position that he can't just auto run back to the pillar. That it's
Okay.
like they have to use defensive to get him back.
Interesting. I like it. All right. Andelin, I'm going to lean on you for this one. The positioning.
Sure. So once again, kind of like talking about with the RMP, this was a little bit more important there. So are we looking at, what we've deemed triangle position on a lot of this stuff, or you know, yeah, it seems like if your strategy is to just go in and press W and play uber aggressive, your positioning is just always on top of them.
Yeah. The major thing with positioning is always try to let your healer have a pillar if possible.
Okay.
Is because then it makes it easier for them to let you play aggressive. Because say you're fighting warrior mage, and your healer can sit on he can essentially have this 1v1 with the mage where he's sitting on a pillar and he has death and fear. So when the mage tries to blink and he blinks DBs and you death the DB and then you just fear the polycast. So you let your priest be able to get in a situation where he can really 1v1 the mage instead of having him be in the middle. The mage just casts polymorph, your priest is forced to death and then just jukes it and then recasts it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really just letting your healer have the pillar if you're playing really aggressive. And then if you're defensive, just all be on the pillar. It's pretty much all your healers should always try to be on the pillar if possible. There are maps where that really isn't going to happen, like Blade's Edge. A pillar really isn't realistic, but Blade's Edge is probably also one of your worst maps you can get. Mugambala is kind of bad, but pretty much like Dalaran, Ruin, like Ruins, you want him to try to have the tomb or like the graveyard.
Coffin. Yeah.
Or like Dalaran, you want to have the box or the stairs. But like for most part, it's just pick a pillar, let him then try to play around that as best as you can.
What about that makes me wonder? Not Ashmain Fall, the other one from Legion, the one with the big pillar in the middle.
Blackroot Cold.
Yeah, Blackroot Cold.
There's a lot of ways you could play that.
Yeah,
the safest. The safest is just have the priest kind of try to play in the middle. You don't really ever want him in the room. Because for the most part, if you're aggressive, you're always going to be in their room. And then he can get super punished. Like, for example, if you're fighting DK Shadow Priest Mistweeper, which has been a popular comp since 8.1.
Yep.
If you get stuck in that room, if you're in their room, you're going to get bullied with Ring of Peace, Grip, Mind Freeze, Pet Kick, Asphyxiate, Fear. You're just going to get spam interrupted because you're all in their range. So, for the most part, a priest just kind of wants to sit in the middle of the map with a big middle pillar because it's just like you're not on them, so they have to come to you. You always you want to be in an aggressive position, but you never want to be in such a position that they literally have to walk 2 feet and they can CC you. You want to make them have to extend to come to you because when it makes getting the Hodges easier, makes getting traps easier, makes it so where maybe your hunter can disengage, kick them real quick. So you want to be on a pillar that's the most aggressive, but isn't directly on them on Blackbrook. So the middle is usually the safest.
Cool. Okay. Makes sense. All right. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a lot simpler. It's a lot simpler in the positioning, game because there's a lot less finesse. If I'll use that word.
It's 2 melee and it's a really aggressive 2 melee comp. So really, all that matters is your healer. So as long as you're not screwing your healer, like running into the corner of Tol'Vir,
right?
Which even in the corner of Tol'Vir, depending on what corner they're in, your priest can still have a pillar. So it's pretty much don't put yourself in such a position that your priest couldn't be at a pillar if he tried.
Makes sense. Okay. Cool. Well, I think that pretty much covers everything. I'm gonna kind of usually we kind of do like a post analysis kind of thing, but I think we've covered enough. I don't think we need to do that. Hey, Andelin, you want to do a slash roll to see who does the next one since Winston's not here?
I'll let you take it here.
Oh, thanks, buddy. All right.
I need to save my luck RNG, right?
Okay. You gonna save your bonus rolls for the new season?
Right.
I'm looking at the notes right now, and I noticed what the next question is, and you're really not going to like my answer.
It's whatever, right? That's so this is our one question we always ask everybody. and this is the one thing you would change. So you're sitting down, you're talking directly with, Ian Hazakostas, Brian Halinka, one of the devs, whatever, and they're like, "Yo, if you could do one thing, if you could make one change into this comp, like what would you like? Go ahead, dream time."
We're talking. I got big dreams. I want the ranged hunter spec, a hunter spec that's ranged to be good. Because I think the double melee ret hunter is so much more susceptible, and is such more bland because it makes things so much cookie cutter. Like the way matchup, like counters and other, like you do really well into, like you actually like do really well in the melee cleaves because you're two really good melee. But then caster comps are just a nightmare. Like Ellie Destro is a nightmare. Ellie Mage, a nightmare. Ellie like a Mage Lock, nightmare. Because you lose the range kick. And the range kick is so huge to just winning these matchups.
Okay.
And then also then positioning becomes more important too, because now it's like, oh, sometimes my hunter also needs to be at the pillar so he doesn't just die instantly. Or the hunter has to use his brain because he's like in the middle of the map and he has to like kind of use his mobility to get to the healer to trap, but also be able to get out so he doesn't just get blown up and die. As for now, it's survival is LOL harpoon disengage away.
Okay. So you want a change to the talents so that if you want, you can be a melee survival, or you can be a range survival that is
not even that.
Competent? Like it sounds like you want to be able to switch out depending on what you're up against, so you can like cookie, paper rock scissors.
This might be a lot more than one change, but baseline is I want an old hunter spec back.
Okay.
I want.
That's what it comes down to.
I want like Mop Marksman back, Kata Marksman, Mop/Wad Survival. I'll even take Marksman Legion back, even though that was a train wreck of a spec in my opinion.
Okay.
Like I just want to be able. I want to have a bow in my hand again. That's what I really want.
Okay. So you want to give up. You want to give up being melee. You want to go back to being ranged.
Because
let's be honest. That's why you played a hunter.
Yeah, exactly. I just like.
Yeah.
I run into these situations where like I'm fighting Mage Druid and I'm just like, we're literally getting bullied with clone. If I was a ranged class, this would not be as hard because I would literally just sit there, I would kick the Cyclone and everything would stop. But instead I'm just watching this Druid play Moonkin Affinity and spam clone and I can't do anything to stop him.
Yeah.
And it also irks me, it'll always irk me, is that in WoD they had the most beautiful hunter spec ever designed. They had WoD Survival. And that was the one they scrapped from the melee. That was the one. They didn't get rid of PM. They didn't get rid of Marksman. They got rid of WoD Survival. It made me so sad.
The 100 spec to rule them all.
I could play that if I had that spec. I could. If Blizzard said from now on Survival is going to stay the exact same, it's going to play the way it did WoD. I could play that spec for hours on day for every year for the rest of my life. I could play that spec every day. I'd never get bored of it.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. All right, so we got what you want. Andolin, buddy. What's your...
I actually know this time.
You prepare.
I think what I would do is I would find like a right way to tune to where like you could actually like the frozen trap could take damage to where you could kill the frozen trap.
that would be gross though, to be fair. Oh, that would actually be really gross because if you really think about it, if you really in a perfect scenario, you would have your priest be able to fear as well for a stun. You would have essentially 3 stuns. That would be, I think that would be way too rage inducing to just fight this front hunter when you don't have a trinket that just hodge trap fears you and kills you in all 3 because you couldn't play your character. Oh, that would, I would get annoyed by that honestly if that was a thing.
I think it'd be kind of neat because I mean, like for instance, if you have a like it's only demon hunters who are able to really reverse the magic or something like that. But even if you reverse the magic, now you've got to break it off, you know. Or even if they decided, or even if you could play like some spec where it was like the CC didn't break until like your teammates actually came in and actually broke the trap.
Yeah. So like the reverse way of how deep freeze used to work in WoD, where
exactly.
That could, or like how blinding light works now, where only it doesn't break the holy damage, but once it takes any other source of damage, it breaks. That would be cool. That would be cool.
It'd be a situation where like you if your priest was all the way in the back corner and you feared him, essentially you could just slow the other two, and trap he can't move until his, you kind of have to stay close to each other if you're playing a hunter,
Yeah.
Can I
against a hunter.
Can I ask this question? And this is just kind of feeding off of your idea, Andalin, but you know how there's the PvE stuff where like, on the spiders where sometimes we get people cocooned and you have to run over and knock them out of the cocoon by damaging it. Would it be valid to make it where the trap, like you had to do so much damage to the trap to then knock the person out of the freeze? Rather than rather than trying to destroy the trap, like, was that what you're talking about, Andalin? Or are you talking about actually get rid of the trap before it goes off?
I'm saying it's just like killing a totem, except if that totem didn't basically you're CC'd until for the duration that totem's alive.
Okay, so just like we have.
I'm not a fan of this. Let's not do that. Hey,
we got gold.
Never mind. I was thinking. Okay, no. I'm not a fan of that. No thanks. No, I already don't like how traps work. I don't want that.
I will say personally, and it's both a good thing and a boon. I want traps to no longer have a set time. So when you toss them, they go off right there. They don't like toss, slide, pop, and then go.
I love you. I love you because I was just thinking I wanted to change mine because
no. That's I love it because I love doing that as a hunter when I was playing my low level hunter, but I loved watching where it was that was the 110% PvPer on like watching the competitions, and Buddy jumps on top and ended up taking the trap instead of their healer, and their healer keeps going, and that showed like that was 9,000 IQ right there.
Yep.
Thank you. Oh my god, I was thinking of that when when we're talking about traps different. It's like, oh man, I should have said I want to change how traps work. Okay. Because I don't know if everyone noticed, but with the sliding, traps have actually changed not only animation wise, but mechanically they've changed.
Yeah.
So
you now when they actually have a momentum. They slide and then they set and then they pop.
Yeah, and it's not like just a throwing in the air and it instantly lands.
Yeah.
So what also happens is now there's there's like not an arm time, but a delay time of when they pop up. So say you throw a tar trap. You know the note, like, have you ever noticed a spiky ball from a tar trap?
No.
So when you throw a tar trap down, it's a little spiky ball on top of a spring that when you walk over it, the animation is the spring pops it up and explodes because it's a mine essentially, and it's tar.
Yeah.
But what that is so it's not just an animation; it goes off instantly. There's actually a delay to it. Now with WoW, there's a lot of bugs with delay time or travel time abilities. So like with WoD, Countershot was a travel time ability. It had an issue that it would just immune sometimes. And like Harpoon has a bug where if you're on a wall or like a corner and someone harpoons to you, the harpoon will root the person, it will go on cooldown, and it will not bring you there.
Oh.
So like there's a lot of problems with delay times or travel time abilities. So what happens is now with the traps, if you walk over them, this happened to me actually on my rank 1 push last night, and it actually made me lose rank 1 because I got so tilted I started losing every game.
Oh no!
So if you walk over a trap fast enough with a high mobility ability like travel form, if you could
divine seed,
if you could do it with like travel form, divine seed, they're like a little bit more timing based. You have to like really get it right. Or if you fell rush over it, or if you roll over it, you shadow step it. What will happen is the trap will pop up and nothing will happen. The trap will go away. It will give the animation as if it was active, and no effect will happen.
Oh wow!
And it's been like that since Legion. I remember talking to Dilly at the beginning of Legion. I was like, it's really weird the traps work differently. It's like, no, it's just an animation thing. It's like, I swear it's not. And then I really noticed it when I started to play Survival a lot, that explosive trap, the old damage thing, would bug out a shit ton. But it would only bug out in high mobility. It's like, oh, it's cool. It's like if you're And essentially, if no one's there, once it pops up, it doesn't do anything
Okay.
because of the delay time. So it's like that's the thing I would change is I want WAD mob cata traps back because
Hmm.
the way traps work now, they're intentionally more buggy. Like I was fighting a druid last night and I trapped him as he's in travel form, but since I like trapped on his back feet, the trap landed when it like on his back feet.
Yeah.
But
He was
the
already
arm
past
time
it.
took, and
Mhm.
so it like popped up, and I literally sat there. I'm like, I can't. I was like, I literally lost my lines. Like, I can't believe, and like we literally lost it go because the druid just got a clone. I couldn't stop it, and we died. I was like,
Yeah.
cool, we just lost the game because my trap didn't work, and it's just like it was super
Like,
infuriating.
Don't get me wrong. Like that's a whole other skill level. So I mean, on both sides,
Yeah.
it's skill. Like I get it, but when a trap doesn't function properly
The way it should,
because another ability kind of like isn't calculated in the server side, and yeah, that's just wrong.
It's just like it was super. It was super infuriating. I remember playing in Legion and like a Q2 survival, and I would just get so aggravated because I'd fight a demon hunter, and it's like, oh, he fell rushed my explosive trap on accident. Good for him. And
Hey,
it's like,
did you stream your games last night during the rank 1 push with those?
I streamed the first half. I think I might have streamed the game where the trap actually bugs out.
Okay. We should,
Interesting.
like, not telling you what to do, but I know.
Clip that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking because Blizzard has already said that the more evidence they have, the better. So if you clipped it and sent it to them, they would totally be able. They'd be like, "Oh, yeah, working as intended." Maybe the answer is working as intended. Like
the thing is, that's the thing. Is like it's not that that's a bug. It's just a side effect of how the ability works.
Yeah.
So I think,
but I don't think it should. I think even if I'm on a high ability, if I do a rollover trap, the trap should still activate fully.
Yeah. So what I would have like the way I wouldn't pitch it like this is a bug. You should fix this. I would more want to try to pitch to them as like, hey, this is how this thing works. It's not like I think I've probably made a tweet about this. Like the way that traps work right now is not enjoyable. Just watching them like constantly like traps don't like there's some trap like I think car trap and a high explosive trap do not work out of line because of how they work. For some reason, they just don't work, and
that's wrong.
It's just like it's just annoying, and it happened in League 2 where explosive trap wouldn't work out of line. And it's just like, well, it's like I don't know what to do, like because I threw this trap and I walked around a corner for a second, and then they walked over it, and it doesn't work now. It's like it's not really enjoyable. It makes it super frustrating.
Yeah.
So I would more pitch of like I think you should mechanically go back for traps. You should go back to older versions. I understand it looks cooler. Kind of in some like freezing trap doesn't make sense because all the traps store like how they have that spiky ball and the spring, they all have that same animation, but the freezing trap is still the regular freezing trap. It still looks the same.
What?
So it looks really weird that you throw this black thing and then this white trap pops up. It just looks kind of silly.
That's it. All right. Huh. I wonder what. I'm sure there's probably a reason. Who knows?
Yeah.
But all right. I love this conversation. We need to move on. Like we got a bunch of news that we got because it has been a busy busy couple weeks. So let me hit this bumper.
Not as busy as the last one, but
yeah. Let's hear. I am going to do. I think it's this one.
All right. Who ordered up an extra large can of whoop ass?
All right. So, God, I love that bumper. So into the PvP news, Savix. If anybody doesn't know who that is, he is a fairly popular streamer, does a bunch of videos, and he decided to put up $2,500 of his own personal cash and ran a 1v1 tournament over the last weekend from the 18th and the 19th. And I gotta admit, like the amount of work that goes behind running a tournament, I mean, you can attest to this there, Andalin, like how much work it to run a tournament, to have 3 people live streaming plus all the camera guys, right, and all that stuff. It was very impressive. Like I think I don't know if did you guys catch the VODs on this at all or watch it live?
I personally got to watch the NA tournament, but I had work during the tournament, so I couldn't watch that one.
Oh, okay. How about you, Andalin?
I haven't yet.
Okay.
Just because of my situation and moving and everything like that. So
no worries.
I'm excited to watch that though.
There was some really good matches. There was some that they took really, 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 really long time.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
I already know which one you're talking about. I already know the main culprit one.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the Evangeline Gorecki one?
Oh no, actually, I was
That-
thinking
Oh.
about the Swapsy and
Oh, see, I didn't get to see the EU one, so I didn't even know
okay,
that one
yeah,
took
that's on the
forever.
EU side. Yeah, there's one. It was Swapsy, and I'm trying to remember who now. It was a paladin. He was running Ret Paladin, and
Oh,
they
God.
basically both sat at pillars until dampening even started.
That was the same thing as the Evangeline
my
Gorecki
God.
one.
Yeah.
And I remember that. He asked me to wargame him on my Ellie to help him practice.
Yeah.
And I was like, your best bet is not doing anything until you have cooldowns, because I will kill you. Like, because the thing I noticed, it was like, so like, you sit on a pillar and I run into you and then you kill me. I don't actually
Mhm.
punish you for running on a pillar. So it's like, anytime you touch me, I lose. So I have to run away from you. But if I get you in the middle of the map, you lose. So you have to be on a pillar. So it's like, it's a
Okay.
dampening battle.
Yeah.
You can't win sooner.
Wow. So you're the reason. Damn it.
Yeah. Well,
don't get me wrong. There were some great
you're-
matches. It was really
you're
entertaining.
honestly, you're lucky Gorecki was the one playing it, because the way
Mhm.
I was playing the duels was way worse. Because I was playing the Spectral Recovery that makes you move 10% faster than Ghost Wolf and heals you for 3% of your health every 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And then I was playing Spirit Wolf that has a 5% movement speed increase and damage reduction, stacking up to 4 times. And our first duel was on Mugen Bala, and for literally 12 minutes, I just ran around the map with short cooldown Thunderstorm and just kept knocking him away and eventually won the game.
Wow.
I legitimately dampened him. I just didn't do anything. I was like, this is super easy. Like, and that was
Oh.
I was surprised the way Gorecki played it was just tanking damage and healing. And it's just
Yeah.
like, the best way is just out kite him, and eventually you'll kill him with lasso, like random procs.
Mhm.
So the way I played it was significantly worse.
I'm kind of glad you didn't play then. I'm gonna say
Yeah.
it's
because like I saw, like I was watching it and I noticed he like picked this weird maps. Like, if you just picked Mugen Bala, you literally couldn't lose.
yeah. Oh, maybe he just didn't feel that he didn't want to play that way.
Yeah, because the way he was
that's
playing it is that he was trying to get as much damage out as he can and just spam heal through damage.
Yeah, I remember it was anyway. If anybody hasn't watched it, please go watch them. They're really good. The commentary was interesting. It was Savix, Stoops, and another guy. I don't recognize him. He was
Rekatron.
Yeah, Rekatron.
Yeah.
He was goofy. He was kind of he kept bringing. He was like the color commentary after the show kind of thing. Like that's how I saw it. He did some of the casting, but I felt that Savix and Stoops did a way better. Stoops was amazing for the actual show casting. He ran the matches really good.
All right.
But either way, it came down to, for NA, Venruki won, Cervantes won EU. So the grand final was going to be Venruki versus Cervantes. And then there were some issues. I'm not going to get into it. Ultimately, it was very unfortunate. A lot of people were really excited to watch this last match. It didn't happen. And Venruki, he really took the high road on this one, and he ended up instead of just getting the default winning of everything, he decided he was just going to split the winnings with Cervantes. So it went halfers, and that was done. And then, in typical World of Warcraft PvP fashion, there's a whole bunch of drama afterwards. I'm sure if anybody is paying any attention to that, you've probably seen it on Twitter and all in the, up on the YouTubes. If you haven't, really simple to find it. I really don't want to get into it, but it was kind of an unfortunate ending to what I thought was a really good tournament. So
yeah,
it was, let's see here.
True fashion.
Yeah. I expect nothing less, which is unfortunate. I should expect better. We already talked about.
So who were maybe some of the? I don't know. I guess if people are wanting to watch it, you could pause and come back and listen. But so like maybe who were some of the upsets on like people who we thought we would go a lot further, who maybe just like lost in the first round?
Oh boy, I wish I'd taken notes now.
Yeah, I only paid attention to NA.
Mhm. I'll say on the EU side, I was surprised how quickly Hottie got knocked out.
What did he play against?
He was playing Boomy and I think Swapsy took him out on his LE.
Honestly, I'm not surprised. Boomies and duels now are a lot worse than they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't really have like the main strength of like booming like mop and wad was like Heart of the Wild / Nature's Vigil, because like Nature's Vigil is when you did damage you'd heal, so you did like you would just do damage and heal through everything. Now it's like your way you heal is sitting in bear, so all people have to do is force you in bear form, and then you can't do anything.
Yeah, true. Fair. I'm trying to think what else I saw. Oh my gosh.
The Subatees Jelly Beans matchup was interesting to me.
Oh, I missed
Just,
that.
like-
I didn't see that one.
Like Jelly won, which I think on just a pure player standpoint, no offense to either one of them, I think he should have won. But just looking at that matchup, like Hunter versus Boonkin has been such a skewed matchup for so long that I was honestly surprised that he came out on top. Because I remember talking to him about it, like right before he was gonna play. I was like, I think the only way you could win is scare him so much that he has to sit bare. Because if he gets to do anything, you just automatically lose the duel.
Yeah.
And then like Subachi started learning like, oh, just play this really weird spec where you could just sit in bear and you'll eventually win, and then he had to play around that.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting
Soup
one.
has got a big brain, especially when it comes to Druid.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, let's get into. So we talked about the Keystone Masters already. Hot fixes. So there was a hot fix that came out. It was, I think, it actually popped right when we did our last episode or something like that. Anyways, it's well known. So Mistweaver, Boomkins, and Ellie Shaman got a slight nerf. Well deserved, I think. Mistweavers, as far as I understand, are still very viable. None of this actually made it so they weren't viable. It just toned them down a little bit, which is good. And then there was a nerf that happened today, which it's listed as a hot fix. As I understand it, it came out when it hit live, when Season 2 hit live this morning. And all traits are now nerfed by 50% in player versus player. Now, it was asked because there's a bunch of nerfs that had already happened to traits. This is not cumulative of anything previous. It has reset everything. So if, let's say, a trait had been nerfed down to 55%, it's now at 50%. It's not half of the 55. You know what I mean? Like, math is kind of, I don't explain math well. I understand it, but anyway, essentially it's 50% of whatever the trait was in PvE side.
Like a kind of somewhat complicated way, but the way to look at it is they essentially reverted every single nerf to any trait and then nerfed every trait by 50.
Exactly. That's a good way to put it. Thank you. So that, I think that's really important, because now it was noted in the hot fixes as to the designer thoughts as to why they did this. I don't know if I totally agree with it, but essentially they decided that this was done to address how the additional new ring of traits will affect power in PvP. So the change includes all spec and class-specific traits, as well as multi-class traits, regardless of which ring they're on. The change also overrides all previous reductions, as we just talked about. So everything's now at just 50% effectiveness. Non-scaling and non-stacking effects are unaffected by this adjustment. So that part I don't understand. Non-stacking effects are unaffected by this adjustment. So I guess if I have two of the same trait, does that mean it's now at 100%, or is that 200% if it stacks? You know what I mean? But whatever. I'm sure people will figure it out, and once they start playing around with it. Oh yeah, so I kind of pointed this out when we're talking about who signed up to the NA Cup. Absturge, Peekaboo, Jellybeans, and WizK are no longer with Gosu Crew. So there was a tweet by themselves, as well as a tweet under the Gosu Crew official. There's a link in the show notes. I did actually contact the Gosu Crew, one of the staff members, and they said that, they acknowledged this is what happened, gave me some links, but the official post will be posted up on their website soon. They're just trying to make sure they get some accurate. They need to hit a couple points and make sure that the information is completely accurate before they put it up there to announce there. So, yeah. So you'll see now, instead of seeing Ghost Crew, you'll see the move and all the, I don't know, all the sayings that go with that, which I think is impressive.
Yeah.
They really got themselves a good brand going there just by being the move, I think.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So season 2 started today, right?
Yep.
All right. I don't know about you.
Yes.
I'm excited. I'm actually really excited because
Absolutely.
season 1 was so
Long.
it was long, yeah, but it was a little there was a lot of overpoweredness. I think we saw the same. This has happened before, where the first season always has there's a lot of bugs being worked out, and they're doing those little tunes and tweaks, such as, I think, what was it? There's a couple comps that people were able to get really high on before they got nerfed, and then they sat on high rating, which a lot of people talked about. But
Hello.
so for pardon me?
Nah, I sat my rating.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, because Jungle Cleave got really bad, and it was just like I gained nothing from queuing, and then also my priest quit the game too. He stopped logging in.
Well, you don't have it. You can't do anything about that then.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna put some notes, some links in the show notes. There's 2 on this one. There's the full updated notes for the Tides of Vengeance for the patch, and then also there's another one specifically just on PvP. This is official, which includes you can see the armor sets that they're going to have as well, both Alliance and Horde. I have to admit, the Horde one looks really nice. The Alliance one, it's a little too shiny for me, I'm going to say. But for the player versus player, this is what so season 2, they've increased the item eye level rewards by 30 item levels. So this includes conquest rewards and the weekly chest. This is a neat one. So any player that earns 500 conquest points in a given week will also receive 1 quartermaster's coin and an item from that week's selection. You can possibly earn another quartermaster's coin or an additional piece of gear if you happen to use a weekly bonus roll token in PvP. Now, what are these coins? These quartermaster coins can be used as an exchange for what's called a Warlord's Trophy, and those are going to cost 10 coins each. And you can use that to upgrade a piece of Sinister Gladiator gear to a higher item level. Now, it doesn't say how much extra item level that is. I'm assuming it's not going to be only 5 item levels, but anyway, we'll see what that. Well, we'll see when we actually get into playing it. During the weeks, when Conquest reward is a head, shoulder, or chest, players can choose from one of 4 different pieces of Azerite gear. That's really awesome. And then for weeks where the Conquest reward is not an Azerite piece, such as like a trinket or a weapon, you can choose from one of 2 different slots, such as legs, wrist, hands, or back, or finger and feet. So, okay, interesting. So let's say if it's legs this week, you're going to be able to choose from legs and wrists, I guess. So you're actually going to get 2. And that actually, if you take a look, they actually have a chart to show what it's going to work out across 25 weeks, all the pieces of gear. And there's a couple weeks where there's 2 pieces of gear you can earn. So that's kind of where that goes in. So they've updated the UI to show your criteria, what you need for your next chest. They have a vicious black bone steed or a vicious black war saber for your vicious saddle. If you fill up the bar for your vicious saddle, you get that one. You can keep earning, and you can get another vicious saddle to get something from a previous season if, let's say, you missed out on one for some reason. Ultimately, to get Gladiator, you need to still win 50 games in 3v3 above 2400 rating. And players at the top 0.1% at the end of Season 2 and this bracket will earn Sinister Gladiator title. And the end of match rewards will be capped at item level 385 for the first week of the season. and that's just to maintain parity with the other game systems such until the Mythic raid becomes available. So, all right, wow, a lot of changes there. Some good ones, some not so. I don't know. Actually, I'm not saying not so good, but just kind of a little underwhelming, I guess. Do you guys know how much the that gear token actually increases the gear by?
Well, if it's a Warlord's trophy, it's gonna be an elite. It's gonna if it's the Warlord's trophy how it was last season, it's gonna be the maximum item level a base piece can be, like the one you would get from an elite cache. But I think right now it's capped off at like 400 item level right now or something.
Okay.
But that's cool that they're making Quartermaster's coins more easier to get, because before is you had to actually fail a bonus roll essentially, and then you got which was super bad, because it's like you don't really want to bonus roll PvP since you can't bonus roll as right here anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like you had to hope you didn't actually get a piece of loot. So I'm glad they're updating the Quartermaster coin system to be more useful and to be easier to get.
Okay.
That was one change. I knew about the Azrael, the Conquest cap system and how it was going to work, but I didn't realize Quartermaster coins were going to be easier to get.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Cool. I haven't played enough to even, it didn't even matter to me, so I didn't even understand what the trophy was. So while you're talking, I actually just went over to Wowhead just to see what it is, and it's showing that for like Sinister Duelist, the war trophy, it'll increase an item from it'll raise it up to 410. If it's an Azerite empowered weapon, I'll raise it up to 415. So
okay. So right now, so it's a dual. So it was the same. It was as strong as it was. So it's not an actual cash piece. So it's essentially the sigils. I don't know if you guys PvP enough to get the sigils.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a sigil, but it's not the trophy. It's just a sigil. Okay, that makes sense. So it's not going to be the highest item you can possibly get, but it's still pretty decent. And they also, I noticed, they didn't actually delete your Core Master's coin from the last season.
No,
so right now I
didn't.
actually have 9 right now.
Mm-hmm.
So people were like complaining, like a lot of the high rate PvPers, like, can't wait to get this first weapon cap, because like they're already like 385 with Stockings 390.
Mm-hmm.
But if I get a Core Master's coin with that weapon cap, I'm gonna have a 410. I'm gonna have a 410 weapon.
Yep.
When I only have a 390 right now, so it's actually a 1 cap now. That's actually gonna be insane.
Well, then we're gonna have to finish this up so you can get in there and start doing it.
Yeah. That reminds me of how boosted I was last season. Literally the first PvP cache of the season last season, I had a 385 weapon instantly.
Nice. Oh my gosh, that's jealous.
And I had a 391 on my main hunter the week after.
Oh my! How did you do that? Just luck of the bonus roll.
So the first cache, I got the Warlord's trophy, which was increased at the 385 item level.
Mm-hmm.
And then my cache on my main hunter the second week, I actually got a 390 weapon. I've actually gotten 2 390 weapons on my main hunter. Wow.
That's
I
awesome.
just disenchant the other one because I couldn't use it.
That's horrible. Yeah, 390. You have to
Yeah, I was like, man, I really wanted this one piece of Azerite, and I just got this weapon I can't use.
All right. Okay. Let's move on. Last little piece of news: the 2019 Arena World Cup and Mythic Dungeon Invitational was announced. They did a little bit of name changing, I don't think it's not the Dungeon Invitational. It's the Mythic Dungeon International, I think is what they called it. But really cool. Just talking for Arena World Cup first. So unlike 2018, they had 3 seasons, right? There's spring, summer, and then the final season. This time, it's only going to be 2 seasons, spring and summer, but they're going to do 6 cups each season. Each cup is going to have a $10,000 prize pool plus points, and the end of season finals, so those lands that they do at the end of the season is going to have 100,000 USD or United States dollar prize pool, and in total they're going to have 5 teams that will advance to BlizzCon. Now the great thing about this is that actually increases the number of cups from 2018 from 9 up to 12 this year, And looking at the prize pools, that works out to a $320,000 US prize pool total throughout the year, which I think is pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. That is.
So NAEU is going to have 5 teams. China is going to have 1 team. The Asia Pacific, Korea, Asia Pacific, so that's Korea and Australia, New Zealand is going to have 4 cups, and they're going to have 1 team. And Latin America is going to have only 1 team that's decided by a 4 qualifier round robin that culminates into a season final. So not everybody's doing the same double elimination. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
China, like I said, is to be decided, or to be determined. There's no actual real information how they're going to run the season or how they're going to determine the team. But really excited to see how that goes. Either way, just pay attention to your regional World of Warcraft official website, and the news should be coming up there once it's available. So then the Mythic Dungeon Invitational, they are international. They split into 2 regions this time. So you got East, which is China, Korea, Taiwan, and Australia, New Zealand. And then West, which is North America, Latin America, and Europe. And there's going to be 2 seasons for each. Proving Grounds are starting on the 26th of February. That's going to feed teams up into the tournament realm. On the tournament realm, they're going to do time trials, and that's going to feed teams to the Cup. And it's going to alternate between East and West every 6 weeks. And each Cup, they're going to be fighting for a $12,000 US prize pool plus points. And then the points are going to determine who actually makes it to the LAN, and they get to fight over $100,000 there. Now, this is the last piece, and I hate how salty some people got on this. On top of all this, soon, TM, there's going to be 2 in-game toys that are going to go up for sale in the store, and a portion of the sales is going to be is going to be added to, not creates, it's going to be added to what Blizzard has already decided they're going to put in for the grand final prize at BlizzCon, and that's going to be for both AWC and MDI. So if you like either of these and you want to support it, spend a little bit of your own money on the toys. Yes, we don't know exactly how much of a portion of the sales is going to be. We don't know if it's going to be 95% or 5%. But either way, it's still going to be a portion. I'm going to hesitate. I'm going to put out there that knowing Blizzard, that it's probably going to be more than half of it, if not like a lot of the money is going to go just to the prize pool. I don't think they're going to hold on to 95% of the sales and only give a sliver to the prize pool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I'm curious how it works.
Me too. I mean, a lot of people are curious. It's just the way some people are putting it out there. It just made me cringe. It's like, oh. All right, so that's it for the news. We can run into the last little bits of the outro here. I'm going to go into the trivia question. So the previous episode's question was, what is a Forsaken racial ability that allows them to feed off dead bodies and regain their health? And for the bonus point, what type of dead bodies? Unfortunately, I did not get a response from anybody out there listening. So nobody gets a shout out on this one, but I am going to give you the answer, and it's called Cannibalize. And we were talking about that earlier, about lets the Forsaken essentially eat a dead body and gain back some health. Unfortunately, I think if they take damage or if they move, it just ends, and then the cooldown's wasted. For the bonus, though, the bodies have to be either humanoid or undead. So, hence they're cannibals, if they want to be. This episode's trivia question is kind of a tricky one, and it was brought up to me by another person. I was DMing with them, and it was talking about spell batching. So the question is, what is spell batching, and why did it matter in PvP? And I say did because there was a change in how Blizzard's programming worked, and so it's no longer there. But so send your answer to technicallypvp@gmail.com, and the first correct answer will earn a shout out on the next show. Into our shout outs. The first shout out I want to give is to Sorna, who for giving us a iTunes review. This is actually, I really hate iTunes because they don't let you know when somebody's put a review on there. So I heard this on another podcast. I'm going to say the same thing here. If you put a review on iTunes, can you send us a note, please, and let us know you did that so I can go find it? So this was actually given back on the 28th of December. I want to really thank Sorna for writing this because, like I always say, good or bad, I want to hear it. So this is called Make Technically PvP Podcast Great Again. And they gave a 3-star review. And they said in the review, this podcast is great and one of the best for player versus player. I would have given this a 5-star rating easy a few months ago. However, lately the main host seems like he is miserable discussing WoW PvP lately. I haven't been able to apparently I haven't been able to listen for long as it doesn't seem like his heart is in it anymore. Anyway, keep up the good work and I'll check back in 2019 and re-review. So I really actually appreciate this because when I read this, I kind of thought about it, and I know that the last few podcasts that we've been making, I've been, I guess, a little less energetic than normally, and for various reasons. But I won't say that I'm ever miserable discussing WoW PvP. I truly enjoy talking about this. It really always, like, I don't know how many times we finish a podcast and like I'm jumping up and down in my house afterwards. Like it takes me a bit to settle down from it because I actually really enjoy the discussions. I know that doesn't come through sometimes. Obviously, after 2.5 hours of talking, like we did last time, I'm a little tired. But I want to say, either way, again, thank you very much, Sorna, for doing that. If anybody else wants to, just go on iTunes, put up a review, please, and just let me know so I know to go. Let us know so we can go and take a look at them. Because again, the way iTunes, they don't let us know when a review goes up, and I have to go through all the regions. I can't see it. It's stupid, but it's how they designed it. So whatever. Anyway, do either of you guys have any shout outs?
For me, just shouting out my teammates like Born Good and Cyfoxy and our team Foxes Benditos, just competing this year. Hopefully we do well because it's a lot harder to qualify this year with only 3 teams from any of the Lion tournaments going, and then only 2 teams going from points. Much more difficult to make it this year.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's not gonna be the story where I have 10th in points. I made it to a regionals and then I just played really well at the LAN. I have to play well online and in the LAN.
Yeah, it's cutthroat.
That's good though. I think it's good, right?
I think it's good too. I think one of the major reason why they did that was if you look at the BlizzCon last year's BlizzCon, it just seemed like some teams were either not prepared or didn't try. And there was just like some throwaway teams that like were just like, we're here for fun, and just like, and I think Blizzard wants to cut on that and wants more competitive teams, and also having the tournament have to be so long because there's so many teams. Like the first night of BlizzCon of like weekend, the games went on till midnight. So like,
no, that was
they probably want to like it's a time constraint. Like having 12 teams in this kind of format is just too many.
Yeah, I think they definitely had to limit it down a bit because, well,
for sure.
But they also started the first day of BlizzCon, not even the pre-BlizzCon stuff, but the first day of actual BlizzCon. They started the matches late. Like that was the latest start I'd seen of the matches. I think it seemed like it started a little bit later, and then it just Anyway, all right, Andelin, do you have any shoutouts, or do you want to just go into the outro?
Let's close it on now.
All right, let's get her done. All right. So, well, thank you very much, SSDS. And before we go into talking about ourselves, can you let our listeners know where they can find you?
All right, so you can find me at twitter.com/SSDSLW. You can find me on Twitch at SSDS. And I also have a YouTube. I'm not sure exactly how it shows up. If you just look up Logan SSDS Wilson, or if you look up like 8.0 Survival Hunter Guide, I will pop up. Probably one of the higher up videos up there. So I have a YouTube, a Twitch, and a Twitter.
Cool. And I'll actually put those links into the show notes as well. So if anybody wants, they can find them there. So But Andolin, then, can you tell our listeners where they can reach us?
Absolutely. So you can tweet our podcast at technically _PvP on Twitter, or you can email us at technicallypvp@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm. You can also visit our blog for individual contact information at technicallypvp.wordpress.com. A link for that is going to be in the show notes, along with one for our Discord and our Battle.net community. So I really hope you guys join us in the conversations at one of those places. And I want to thank everyone for listening. We'll chat with you next time. Good night, all.
Take care.
You can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, Google Play, or directly from the RSS feed at libsyn.com. Please give us some reviews on Apple Podcasts, good or bad. It helps us know what we're doing well or poorly, and helps others find the podcast. This has been a presentation of Technically PvP Podcast 2019.